Yeah. The graphic is up there, yeah. Hey everybody, welcome back. Breakfast with Bob. My name is Bob Babbitt. Boston Marathon Edition. We're presented and hosted by Hyland's. Stop your cramp, not your race. And Polar. Check out the Polar Vantage M and the Marathon Edition. You can perform, work out, and energize. And a gentleman who is wearing his Polar watch proudly just ran across Israel. The legend, Mr. Mike Wardian. Mike, how you doing, bud?
Man, it's so good to be here, man. I'm recovering, man, and excited to race Boston. It'll be my 18th Boston.
18th Boston.
Yeah.
How last year you raced it?
Last year I raced. I also helped pace. So I paced a visually impaired athlete, a guy named Chaz Davis.
Yeah.
So just an incredible athlete.
So when you're pacing somebody who's visually impaired, are you tethered or are you more verbally guiding?
So you do both. Chaz doesn't use a tether just because he has a little peripheral vision.
Yeah.
So we're just kind of running like you would as if you were running on the track.
Right.
And then it's verbal cues. So it's like, hey, hill coming in 800 meters. All right, we're going to be on the hill for 2 or 3 minutes.
Right.
And then, bear right, bear left. And then if it does get kind of tricky, I'll reach over and grab him, or he can grab me.
I found, I paced a guy during a triathlon years ago, I was more worn out. Because your senses are on overload, right? You're on the bike. I'm on a bike thinking, watch out for tree limbs. And then in the run, looking at all those little Zot dots, all those little things, every little crack. Your senses are so heightened when you're running with somebody who's visually impaired.
Yeah, it's incredible how much goes into it as the guide, but like just think about like as the athlete,
what they're dealing with.
Oh man, they're just so impressive, like that they can overcome like all the obstacles and the distance and the pace. So
crazy.
like if we can do a little to give back, it's I think really important and powerful.
And you find, we just did a thing at the MLB studios, Major League Baseball studios, with Beep Baseball, which is baseball for visually impaired. And having pro baseball players wearing eye shades and seeing what some of the visually impaired goes through, it's total eye opener.
Yeah. I mean, I think that as an athlete, you appreciate what everyone else is doing, and then when you do like I've done, the Massachusetts Institute for the Blind does a blindfold challenge usually at the BAA 5K, and so I've done that a couple years, being blindfolded myself, and like how much trust you have to have in your guide.
So much, yes.
But then also just to be able to put yourself in those positions, because you're completely vulnerable, but then you're still trying to achieve something incredible. And those athletes, I don't know, they're an inspiration to me. I know that.
Their life is in your hands. That's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, it totally is.
So talk a little bit about fastest time ever, 631-mile Israel National Trail, 10 days, 16 hours, 36 minutes.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah,
How was that? Had you been to Israel before?
So I had only been to Israel. I went in December of 2018 just to kind of do a couple things to run a race called the Hyland Ultra Marathon. It's a 50-mile race or an 80-kilometer race in the hills of Jerusalem. And then I went to check out some of the Israeli National Trail, which is kind of like, it's basically an Appalachian trail, but crosses all of Israel from the south to the north or the north to the south. And what I did was I went and checked out the southern part, which is kind of the desert area. We were just talking about Eilat. So it starts in a town called Eilat, and it runs all the way to Kibbutz Dan, which is right on the border of Syria and Lebanon, near the Golan Heights. And so it's kind of cool, like, to be in a place where you've heard about a lot of these, like the West Bank, Gaza, Golan Heights, Tel Aviv, Haifa, and to actually the Sea of Galilee it runs by. And so like a lot of the places that you've heard about in different texts and historical tombs, but to actually be able to traverse it on land. So it was 1,019 kilometers, 631 miles, and again in 10 days. So for me, it was an average of like 59, 60 miles a day, which was double anything I've ever done in the past.
And did you camp? What'd you do in between?
Yeah, so we did almost everything. We camped 3 or 4 days. We did a couple homestays with people that actually were nice enough to run with us on the trail and let us like take a shower and crash and one night we stayed in a running store, just like slept on the floor. And yeah, it was kind of like a little bit of everything, and it was kind of put together by my buddy Zoli Bahari and Kanan Running.
Yep.
And so they do these adventures for people in Israel. And for me, what I thought was so neat about it was there's so much diversity in such a small place and so much beauty.
Yes.
And then what was, I think, the favorite thing that happened to me, it turned into kind of like this little Forrest Gumpy type thing where like people would come out and run. Like I had some people that came out and ran with me 4 times, 4 different days. I had other people that ran like their longest, like one guy ran 125 kilometers, so like 75 miles with
Which is
me.
way more than he's ever run.
Yeah, it was way more than he's ever run, and it was also longer than he's ever run because we were running so slow. So he had 2 sets of PRs in the same day. But really, it became down to like the Israeli running community really came out and supported what we were doing and was a big part of it. And I wouldn't have been able to do it without them.
That's so cool. So, dude, I know there was a point where you thought you were going through a little puddle, but it turned out not to be a puddle. Go through that.
Yeah, so it was on day 8. It was kind of like the lowest point for me in the race. There was still probably 250 kilometers, so about 150 miles to go. And it was late in the 8th day. I was probably like 40 miles into my running for the day, and I came to this washed out section of trail, and it was funny. It was kind of like the knot, like in the old days. It was like, what do? You know, you have to try to figure out how to get through it. And I was with these 2 other guys, and they're like, well, we could like go up and around, and I was like, we're just going through. And so I just was like, okay, and we went through, and then all of a sudden it was like, that's going to be like up to our waist, and then it was like,
oh my God,
chest.
You're swimming.
So yeah, so basically like we're wading through this big like washout, and then we hit the beach, and the wind is whipping off the beach, and so it's probably like 65 degrees, but it knocks my core temperature down. And at this point, like I've already been running for 8 days, I have like very little control of like my core temperature.
And you have no body fat whatsoever.
Yeah. So like I'm just kind of really exposed, and I'm just sitting in this chair at the aid station that's been set up, and I just like, I don't know if I can go
You're
on.
shivering.
Yeah,
you're
shivering.
hypothermic.
Yeah, I'm just like completely at my end point, and like I close my eyes and I'm like hallucinating. I see like a school bus with like heart-shaped like headlights, and I'm just like, that's not real. And I was like, I need to get out of here. And so like I put on like 2 jackets, like 2 puffy coats, like gloves, like a hat, and like everybody else is in like swim trunks and like sunbathing, and I'm just like freezing. And I start walking, and I got some calories, and I swear, like, it's like so many things. It's like, I think, an analogy for life. Like when things look really bad, if you can keep moving forward and keep pushing on, like 20 minutes later I felt better. But like that could have been the end of...
You could have sat there and said, I can't do it, and then all of a sudden your body recovers.
Yeah.
Body's pretty resilient.
Yeah, and so like a lot of times you just got to give it the chance and not cave in. And so like that's what I think was so cool about that experience. Like it sucked to get to that point, but that's the kind of things that you're actually looking for. Yeah.
You can draw on that. What's fascinating to me is you were an elite runner, and I don't know when you realized, you know what, I can basically do, if I run a marathon today, I can run one tomorrow and not lose a lot.
Right.
And that's sort of like the light bulb, right? Because that's really become your life, is you're a guy who can string all these amazing workouts and races together. Right. When did you first realize that?
Actually, it was pretty interesting. When I first started running, I got into running to run the Boston Marathon, so this will be my 18th Boston Marathon. But I wanted to do like all the big races in the same year, and that was 1997. So I did Marine Corps, Chicago, New York, and each one I got faster. So it was like pretty quickly I realized like I had a talent for this, and then I did the JFK 50 miler, and I was like, wow, I could do this. But I didn't really know if that was just kind of an anomaly or whatnot.
Yeah.
So I'd say probably in 2007 or 8, I just started doing a lot of marathons, and I really didn't lose a lot, and I like the adrenaline you get from racing, and the experience of being out there with everyone and doing what some people consider like a lot, but for me it was just kind of like an extension of where I wanted to be and like kind of what I wanted to do and how I wanted to explore like the world through my running. And I don't want to miss any opportunities.
That's
so,
the thing. You don't want to miss out.
Yeah. And so like some people always say like, oh, if you only did 1 or 2 races, you could have been, you know, a 2:10, 2:09,
maybe not.
Guy. But that's my.
And look at all the experiences you miss.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
We had a triathlete named Scott Tinley, and he loved racing internationally. He'd do 5-6 Ironmans a year,
right.
but he didn't really he raced them, but raced them at his level.
Right.
Even though he's top pro, but look at all the great experiences he
right.
achieved where other
right.
guys just focusing on one race.
Right.
So when you look at, I think it was Houston, where
right.
you ran the marathon trials,
right?
And then I think you won the marathon the next day. Or
no, I didn't win. I ran 2:21 in the trials, and the next day I ran 2:31.
So you only lost 10 minutes running marathons back to back.
Yeah, and I was kind of nursing a little bit of some plantar fasciitis. So
I just run marathon. That's not a problem.
I just ran another marathon and kind of worked it out. You know.
My favorite Mike Wardian story is we're at Rock and Roll San Diego.
Yeah.
I'm in my black Elvis outfit.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I was like, I will get you an Elvis outfit, but you need to go to Vegas and run as Elvis.
Yeah.
And we got you the Elvis outfit. I remember you telling me when you're running through the streets of Vegas, you got all the other pros around you going, dude, everyone knows you.
Yeah.
And the first it felt like it was like, was that one of the easier marathons you've ever run?
No, actually, that was pretty tough because that was, I think, 2016.
Yeah.
And I had just set the record for doing all the Abbott World Marathon Majors in the same year. And I averaged 2 hours and 31 minutes for all 6 of the Abbott World Marathon Majors. And to celebrate, we went to Vegas
and wore the Elvis.
And wore the Elvis outfit.
With the big Babbittville logo.
Yeah, with the big Babbittville. And I think Misty is the one that...
Misty made my outfit for
Misty makes the outfits. And so she was cool enough to put together the outfit. And so I was kind of coming off of all of those runs. And I had no idea what to expect. And it was weird. I was in 6th place. And then all of a sudden 5th place. And then all of a sudden 4th place. And then... at 23 miles, I passed a couple guys, and all of a sudden the truck came back, and I was like, wow, that's cool. They came back to, help me, break the record, the world record.
Yeah, maybe capture for Guinness.
Right. Yeah. And then it turned out it was actually, I took the lead in the race.
You're winning as Elvis on the strip in Vegas.
Yeah, and so, I'm coming into the half marathon, and I see the finish line tape, and I'm like, that can't be for me. And then, of course, it was, and... I crossed the line, and it was
38.
Yeah.
You broke the Elvis world record.
Yeah.
It became one of the more viral things that's ever happened in the sport.
Yeah.
You as Elvis, I mean, how appropriate. Elvis winning Rock and Roll Vegas.
Yeah. It was like a dream come true, really. I mean, and I would love to try to go back and try to set another record. I don't know if you.
I'm trying to set it up. I'm trying to set it up with you and the guy who just ran Berlin. London or Berlin? I forget.
No, he just broke it in
237.
Berlin.
Yes, 237.
Yeah.
You'd love him. Really good.
Yeah,
He's
good
Scottish.
Guy. Oh,
Scottish
cool.
guy.
Okay, yeah.
So you have a birthday
today. Yeah.
Today's your birthday.
Yeah, today's my birthday. So
you're celebrating it on our show.
I'm celebrating on our show. I did a little VO2 max testing this morning. Met a running client. So did a couple runs already today. Been here. Got to see some sponsors and see some people out in the running community, and just kind of been part of the Boston weekend. So
Love it.
Boston is, the reason I got into the sport. It's one of my favorite weekends of the year. Is a chance to reconnect. It's I feel like it's a reunion for the running community.
It really is.
It's a chance to kind of everyone appreciate what you've accomplished, where you've come from, where you've been, and it's a chance for us to catch up.
Always.
And, I love it.
Love it. Mike, thanks as always. Happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
Love having you in the sport. Love everything you bring to the sport.
Thank you very much, man. It's a pleasure. Same with you, man. I look forward to continuing to do cool things.
Thank you. Mike Wardian has been our guest. We'll be right back.
All right.
Woo! Hey, Wayne, you want Mike to, if he's got a few minutes, maybe give out some stuff to people?
Oh, man, yeah.
Yeah, well,